Dr. Is, welcome to the Influencer Stories Hub. It's pleasure to have you here.
Thank you
Let's
very much.
start from the beginning. What inspired you to step into the world of leadership, communication, and visibility?
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Um, it brings a smile to my face when I get asked questions like this because, in the recent past, more and more people are beginning to realize the importance of being able to communicate the right way and the importance of visibility, whether it's for your business or your workplace. Visibility and communication go hand in hand. And honestly, I would say it came from observation and a bit of frustration. I saw incredibly brilliant people. They're competent, they're hardworking, they're qualified, but still become overlooked. You know how it is when you're so intelligent, you know so much, and yet nobody knows you. So while others simply knew how to communicate and position themselves were getting the opportunities, people that were actually competent and had the capacity and were qualified were not getting that visibility. And I asked myself, why is visibility treated like a luxury when it's actually a business necessity and a career necessity? And that was, the day I had that thought, that was a turning point for me. I realized that it's not enough to be good at what you do. You must also be seen, you must also be heard, and you must also be remembered for it. And that's what led me into leadership, communication, and visibility. Thank you.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
It's fantastic. Was there a moment in your life when you realized this is what I want to do? This is my calling.
Okay. I would say that the moment didn't come like just one particular moment. I think it was more of a progression of moments or a combination of moments, because sometimes when you want to go into a particular direction, there are certain times that you may be unsure if this is the right move to make. It's just like saying you know how to sing very well when you are in the bathroom, when you're in the shower, when you're having your bath and you're singing with such a beautiful voice. And you think that if you start going to the studio to sing, you'll probably be a Grammy Award winner in the next 6 months. It basically doesn't work like that. Or just because you play football as a hobby, you seem to think that you will become a Ronaldo in the next 1 year or 2 years. So I wanted to be sure it wasn't an issue of just the passion alone. I wanted to be sure that it was something that I could also execute and change lives. So yes, I eventually had that moment, but I would say it was a combination of moments that led to that final decision. Yes.
That's awesome. You have trained over 40,000 professionals. That's incredible. What was your very first training session like and how did it feel?
Ah, my first training session, it was horrible. It was a disaster. I was very nervous. Um, I wasn't exactly 100% prepared, but I just had this driving force of saying you can never be 100% ready for any opportunity. You just have to go out there and try. When you try, you learn. My voice was shaking. My slides were good, but my voice was shaking. I had the microphone, my hand was shaking. But something powerful happened to me, I would say around 35 minutes or 40 minutes into the training session. I had a few people that they didn't seem to notice my voice was shaking or my hand was shaking. Maybe what I was saying was resonating with them. Maybe it was touching something that they'd always been wanting to hear from someone. And that was when something powerful changed. When I noticed they were nodding, and I noticed they were engaging, and I noticed they were learning, and the shift happened because I now looked at it that the nervousness, the jitters didn't seem to mean so much to them because I'm sort of a perfectionist. I want it to look this way, I want it to look this way, everything has to be no, but they weren't seeing my nervousness. I felt it, but they weren't seeing it. And I realized that it's not about me, it's about the value that I'm delivering. And that moment built my confidence. And from that one session, it grew into thousands. And I'll tell you something that every great speaker, every great trainer or facilitator always feel nervous at the beginning. But after a while, when you step into what you're delivering and you're focused totally on the value you're going to give, confidence just takes over everything. And I still felt that same way this morning. So,
Yeah,
so thank you.
that's true. Beginning always harder.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
beginning
it's
is always
true.
harder. Then after a while, you just start getting okay.
Yes, yeah, it's true. You call yourself an executive visibility strategist. Can you explain in simple words what that means and why visibility is so important for professionals today?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That's a very interesting question. And the truth of the matter is that, like I said earlier at our session, some people, it has become very important in the recent times for people to be very intentional about how they communicate because you know that perception, the human perception is subjective. You meet people, and even before having a conversation with them, you already have an idea of what you think or you feel that they represent. So when they communicate with you, your perception about them either changes for the better or changes for the worse. And this is why communication is very important. In the sense also, like I said, communication and visibility, both for career and business minded people, work hand in hand. However, there needs to be a strategy to it. So you can have the bad visibility and the good visibility. You can have poor communication skills and good communication skills. And that is where people like myself come in. So, in simple terms, I help professionals get recognized for the value they already have. So if you don't have value, you're going to find it very difficult. You can't communicate what you don't have. So for those that recognize their value, like you can either be someone that has value but you don't recognize your value, but for those that recognize their value but have a problem communicating that value and being able to find that positioning where they can be visible, right? That is where I come in. And many people, honestly, are doing great work. You are doing great work, other professionals and business people are doing great work, but quite a number of people are invisible in the rooms that matter, right? So, what I do is to help them, one, communicate their value clearly, two, position themselves where they need to be seen, and then three, show up with the confidence and authority that they should communicate to the right people, because visibility is what connects your competence to opportunity. You could get an opportunity, but because you don't communicate properly, you could lose that opportunity. And without visibility, even the most talented professionals or business people remain overlooked. So that is basically where I come in for professionals and business minded people as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. You have won 9 awards. What are the success stories behind those awards? And which one means the most to you and why?
Okay, success stories.
Yeah.
Wow, there are so many. Let me see if I can remember, the quite a number of success stories. So I would say that in terms of success stories, my story, I would say, is the first success story because you can't replicate what you have not conquered. And I mean, I've had almost 24 years in the corporate world. And I will say that for the first 15 years, I was not seen, I was not heard, and I was not valued. It was only my family and friends that knew I had value. But your family and friends can't pay you. Your family and
Exactly.
friends can't bring you to the limelight. It's just like when you write a book, you publish the book, and only your family buys the books from you. Have you succeeded? No, right? Because any book you write, any post you share, any video you share is supposed to be a solution to a problem or several problems. And if it doesn't get to the right audience, then you haven't succeeded. So I would say, in terms of my success story, I was able to, of course, after over a decade of struggle and fighting, for promotion in the workplace or fighting to make my businesses sing, I would say I was able to crack the code in terms of communicating and visibility. The first breakthrough I had was learning how to communicate my value. And then the second breakthrough I had was being visible to the right people. So that positioned me to be able to create more success stories in my clients. And I mean, I would say that, of course, as you already know, having trained over 40,000 people, I would say that I have been able to build prodigies in the banking and finance industry, in the creator economy industry, in the fast moving consumer good industry, in the virtual assistant, executive assistant industries. I've been able to create prototypes, now not exactly of myself because every individual is different, but I've been able to create people that were able to come out from what they were doing in terms of poor communication, lack of visibility, poor strategy. I've been able to move them to a point of ground zero to at least either ground 80 or ground 100. And the truth of the matter is that the beauty of the testimonies is they are still evolving. Human beings, we adapt, we change, we evolve with the times. So I've had students that could not speak before, could not stand and speak in boardrooms. I have CEOs that I have trained that are able to present themselves in boardrooms. I've had junior executives who have been struggling to get promotions. They are so brilliant, and I'm able to teach them how to strategically, place themselves where they will be seen and get those promotions. I've had people that when I met them, they had failing businesses. They didn't have the right strategy, or they didn't know how to be intentional about their businesses and their career. And I was able to take them, across the stages. But like I said, I am the very first success story because, as you can see, definitely you saw the profile. I mean, it's you resonated with it, and you felt, hey, she's got some value to share. So that means, um, at least I'm going in the right direction. If you understand what I mean. So I've been able to get clients, students. I have some groups I also counsel that are also replicating these things I have learned over time. So the success here is what took me 15 years to learn. Many of them are achieving it in 7 months, in 3 months, in 6 months, practically less than a year. Of course, they have to be willing to do the work. You understand? So
Yeah,
that's been the experience so far.
it's this is fantastic. Uh,
Thank you.
you did not mention here you own this 9 awards, but which is most important for you and why?
I actually have over 11 awards, but I just documented only 9 on LinkedIn.
Yes.
I didn't want people to be scared seeing so many awards. And I would say that the entire awards I have, um, two of the awards stood out for me. Permit me, I know I'm supposed to pick one, but two stood out for me. One of them was Leadership Award. And the reason why that award I would mention as the first is because as you climb in your career, you will get titles, but title does not interpret you to be a good leader, right? You can have a title as a president, but you're not a good president. You can have title as head of department, but you're not a good head of department. What that means basically is your team or the people you lead do not buy into your vision, do not agree with your goals, they do not align, right? And at the end of the day, you will not be able to succeed in whatever maybe goals or missions you have. So when I got that award, it was because they had done some poll, some survey about me with people I had worked with, people I had trained. It was a testament or a conviction for me to know that I may have failed for so many years, but finally I have been able to impact value into the lives of people, because I strongly believe that you are only remembered for the value you give and not for how rich you are, right? I mean, we're billions of people in the entire world. It takes a lot for people to remember your name because of the value that you have brought to the table. I have people that have worked with over 10 years, 15 years, and they still remember me because of the value I've given to their life. So when that leadership award came, it meant everything to me because it showed me that ish, you're in the right, you're on the right path, you have more to do. The second award that really impacted me was the award I got as a storyteller. Now, as a young child, I always used to get, beaten up because uh, my grandparents felt I was always distracted, like my head was always in the clouds. I always loved watching cartoon. I always loved telling stories. I always loved writing. But I was scared of coming out in the open to tell people I am a storyteller. And over time, I've also evolved into what they call business storytelling. I share stories that impact people to change, to evolve, to do better. So when the second award came, recognizing me as a top storyteller on LinkedIn, and I kid you not, when I came out as a storyteller on LinkedIn, this was almost 2 years ago. I don't do too much storytelling anymore. I had nothing less than 600 students within 6 months coming to me to learn how to tell stories. And this was a skill I was ashamed of when I was younger. So you can imagine having a skill you are ashamed of when you're young, and you get an award for that skill when you're an adult. So I was like, hey, finally, somebody's recognizing this talent. And as human beings, we each have so many talents, but some of the talents will give you more visibility than others, right? So those two awards, the leadership award and the storytelling award, was a total conviction that I will be remembered for being a good leader. I will be remembered for being an inspiring storyteller, because every change that has happened in the world that we are today and in the past have come from good leadership or bad leadership, and people who are ready to inspire change in others. Yes. So that's the
Yeah,
story with words.
that's truly inspiring. Many people struggle with confidence in their career. What one powerful communication strategy you teach that instantly make a difference?
The communication strategy.
Exactly.
So one of the most powerful strategies I teach is this: stop trying to impress anyone. Start trying to express and not impress. And I'll explain. You see, when people lack confidence, it's usually because they are focused on being perfect, or you're trying to avoid people from judging you. And this is the reason why many people with good talents, are always afraid to come out to talk. So when you shift your focus to delivering value and being clear, confidence naturally follows, because clarity is what builds confidence. If you are clear on what your value is, remember at the beginning of this session, I said some people have value, but they don't know that they have value. And some people have value, they know they have value, but they don't know how to communicate that value, right? So you can see the two problems. You don't know the value you have, versus you have value, but you don't know how to communicate it. So if you have value and you don't know how to communicate it, all you need to be sure is clarity. You need clarity. And many people have the problem of clarity. They're not clear on the value they can bring. And that's why you see people trying to copy other people. You see people copying other people in their niche. Let me give you an example. I have two friends, and they're my students too. So one of them is a virtual assistant, and she's doing so well on LinkedIn, making so much money on Fiverr, making so much money on Upwork. It is obvious that it's her talent, it's her skill, and she's good at it and can communicate her value. The second one doesn't seem to know what she can do well. And because the first lady is making so much money and making so much waves on LinkedIn, she goes, wow, I'm sure if I'm a virtual assistant, I can also make so much money just like she does and, be visible. However, she went that same path and failed woefully because she wasn't clear on her value. She was using someone else's value for herself, right? She was using that value, and she ended up becoming confused and losing her confidence. So as an individual, you need to be clear about what value does your brand bring. If you're not clear about your business brand or your individual brand, you will not be able to communicate that brand value to other people. You won't be able to communicate who you help. I'll give another example. Now, I tell people you can be an executive assistant with a skill, but you don't understand the business of being an executive assistant. You could be a public speaker, but you don't understand the business of public speaking. You could be a teacher, but you don't understand the business of being a teacher. You could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer. So for every skill, for every talent, there's the business part of it. And this is one of the differentiating factors why some people excel in their businesses and some don't. Clarity is the beginning of it all. It is the foundation. And that is why in in business, they say when you're selling something to anyone, you should know what your USP is, which is your unique selling proposition, or your unique selling point, or your unique selling value. Once you are clear on it, there's a certain level of confidence you have, because you know that this is what you can deliver. So instead of asking, how do I sound impressive? Ask, how do I make this simple and useful for other people to understand? This is exactly where the shift happens, and this is where everything changes. So people need to, in terms of communication, don't step onto the stage, into the floor, into a room, or anywhere because you want to impress. Because the truth of the matter is, you cannot impress everyone, right? If you ask to speak to 50 people, maybe five will not be impressed. But does it mean your value is less? No. It just means you are not for them. And that is why when I'm invited to train, I'm invited to speak, the mindset I go with is, if only one person can understand what I am saying, if only one person gains value for what I'm saying, I have succeeded. So I'm not coming in there to teach you I'm not coming there to teach you, impress you with how well I can speak English. I'm not coming there to impress you with my clothes. I'm not coming there to impress you with my hair or how beautiful I am. I am coming there to give you value, right? Of course, that is if you're speaking to the right audience. So when people lack confidence, it's usually because they are scared of being judged. The day you do not care what people think about you, but you shift your focus on, how can I bring value to the table, that is the most powerful communication strategy for confidence.
That is so true. That is so true. Success doesn't come without challenges. What was one of the those moments in your journey, and how did you overcome it?
Hmm. Yes, success doesn't come without challenges. And I tell you that I still face challenges till now. I would say that one of the low moments in my journey was when I was being okay. I will look at it from the financial aspect. Was when I was underpriced by clients. I was getting underpriced by clients because I didn't have a big name. I wasn't popular. I wasn't well known. And it still happens. I'll be very honest. It still happens. Though it's better than it was a few years ago. I mean, let's take LinkedIn for instance. Let's say I'm invited to train 1,000 people and I give a fee, and they go to my LinkedIn and they see that she has only 500 followers. Then someone else who has 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, and I'm like, the value is not on how many followers you have. The value should be on if you can give impact, if you can execute, if when you're done with the training or the teaching or whatever it is you're doing, that people actually change, right? And it was a challenge for me for so long, but I stayed at it. I continued growing my numbers. So the pricing, of course, started getting better and better. Job offers, gig offers started coming in. I would say that I have not gotten to where I want to be. It's still a journey, but it is much, better than before. So I would say the major challenge I had was pricing, and people looking at my brand as up upcoming. But I've actually been doing this for many years. It's just that I wasn't intentional about the visibility aspect. So, of course, a few years back, I started becoming more intentional. And I mean, I had cases also where I was supposed to get a really big gig, and the client went to Google to search my name and they couldn't find me anywhere. And they're like, can we trust her with this kind of money? Does she have that expertise she claims she has? Because they couldn't find me on Google. And they're like, if we could put your name on Google and Google didn't bring up anything, then who are you? Are you a ghost? Are you a spirit? What are you? So we don't have your profile in the places that should show that you are credible. You don't have thought leadership or authority growing anywhere. That was a real eye opener for me. And of course, that was what set me on the path to make sure I have some presence on LinkedIn, presence on YouTube, presence in as many places as possible. So that was my own experience. It's getting better, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah, that's interesting. What's the biggest lesson you have learned about leadership and influence that you wish more people understood?
Biggest lesson, biggest lesson. There's so many, but leadership is not about position.
Exactly.
It's about perception and consistency. Trust me, you can have the biggest title ever, but people will not respect you. I learned it the hard way. People don't follow titles, they follow clarity, they follow confidence, and they follow who they trust. Before people see, you don't even need a title to be recognized as a leader. People just need to trust you first, and they need to be clear about who you are and what you stand for. Because the truth is, trust is built over time, and it is built by how you communicate, how you show up, and how consistent you are. So, if you want to influence, if you want to be recognized as a thought leader, if you want to be recognized as an authority, you have to focus more on credibility. You have to focus more on gaining people's trust. You have to focus on value. People have to be sure that the things you do is not because you want to impress them. And I know that I have mentioned that don't be too keen on impressing, but you have to do what we call a litmus test or a SWOT analysis. What do people think about you? When behind the closed doors, who will people say you are? Right? And that is the baseline, that's the foundation of understanding if you are a leader in your space or not. So, basically, in simple terms, leadership is not about your title, it's not about position, it's about the trust that people have in you.
That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Thank
Dr. Is for our viewer who want to grow their career visibility and income, what are the three simple steps they can start today?
you. Okay. So I will tell them the steps I personally used that have worked for me and worked for others that I have helped in the past. So the first is start sharing your knowledge consistently. Don't wait for money to share the knowledge. Share whether you are paid or not, as long as it has value. There is nothing like waiting till I am ready. You can never be 100% ready. Start where you are. Your knowledge is valuable to someone out there. And I will give an example. When I started training people, I started pro bono, I started free. My friends were always laughing at me. Oh, Dr. Ish, how much did they pay you? I said, no, I didn't collect any money. What? They laughed at me. They made fun of me. But you know what? The more I shared knowledge, the better I became at speaking, the better I became at presenting. And the people I was giving free knowledge started calling me for other gigs, other programs, and paying me. So it was like seizing the opportunities to showcase my knowledge and waiting for bigger opportunities that could pay me for, I mean, they can't pay you 100% of your value, but at least appreciate me for what I was doing, right? So start sharing your knowledge consistently. Everybody is not a public speaker. It can be writing. You can write. You can share your knowledge through writing. You can share your knowledge through speaking. You can share any opportunity you find to share your knowledge. Please take it, right? Now, the second simple step is speak up in rooms that matter. Meetings, LinkedIn, industry conversation. Visibility grows when you contribute. It could be WhatsApp groups. You could be in your secondary school, your high school WhatsApp groups, your kindergarten WhatsApp groups. You know, there's so many WhatsApp groups now, so many groups. It could be LinkedIn groups. Share as many times as you can. Trust me, one day someone is going to notice you, and that is when there will be a shift. The thing is, you can't predict when it will happen, which is why you need to keep doing it consistently. So speak up in rooms that matter, right? And then the third is position your work, not just do the work. Don't assume people know what you do. Communicate your results, your impact, and your value clearly. What I mean by that is anybody can assume I am a good speaker. But if I don't do videos or share experiences on my speaking gigs, people are not going to know this is what I do. So position your work so that people can see you. Don't play with your visibility. You have to stop hiding. And the truth is, if you do these three consistently, your visibility will grow, uh, your communication strategy will grow, and obviously, payments, income will also grow alongside.
That's awesome.
Yes, because the truth is, visibility is not about noise, it's about being intentional. That's just what I want to share.
Yeah, so true. Let's have some fun with rapid fire question. Just say the first things that comes to mind. I'll ask you some question and rapid fire question. You just answer in one word or just what comes to your mind.
Okay.
One book that changed your life.
How to influence and change people's life, Dale Carnage.
Favorite Nigerian food.
Rice.
That's nice. If you are not a strategist, what would you be doing?
Lawyer.
Wow, that's nice. One word that describe you best.
Firecracker.
That's so nice. Huh? How do the people find you online and follow your work?
Okay, for people interested in following my work and what I do on LinkedIn, you will find me as Dr. Ishioma Elora Onah. That is Ishioma for Ishioma and Elora, and then my surname Onah. That is on LinkedIn. On YouTube, you will find me as Dr. Elora Onah. That is Elora, then Onah. Yes, those are the easiest places to find me.
That's so nice. We are going to share those links in the description. Please follow
Thank you.
Dr. Is on LinkedIn and our YouTube channel as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's amazing conversation, Dr. Is. Thank you
Thank you.
sharing your journey with us. Your story shows that visibility and communication are not the skill, they are superpower for success. I am
Yes.
sure our audience is walking away inspired this kind of conversation. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
On watching, if you enjoy this conversation, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Influencer Stories Up. We bring you more inspiring journey every week. See you in the next episode.